Good afternoon, students. Welcome to another edition of CNC with RMB. I am your host, Ronald Batley. Please call me Ron. I am the CNC instructor with the Philadelphia Technician Training Institute. Today we are going to be working with our Flash Cut CNC software in the computer-aided drafting segment of said software. We are going to do some basic work with lines, just some principles, some manipulations, extend and trim features. We're going to keep it simple today, and I appreciate your feedback. We'll do some Q&A, and we'll move on from there. All right, let's get started. As you can see, I already have the software pulled up. It is Flash Cut CNC, which is the software portion of the trio needed to operate the CNC. We have the software, the Flash Cut CNC software, we have the Flash Cut CNC controller, and then we have the actual CNC machine itself. The Flash Cut software sends the information to the controller, and then the controller sends the information to the CNC machine itself. Our first order of business is to create a new file. Okay, so we will come up to the corner. We have File. We're going to click New. And you see we have the option to create a 2D part or a pipe part. Pipe part is only used for when we're cutting pipe. So in our particular case, we will be creating a 2D part. So we click on that, and now we are set up to start a new drawing. And as stated earlier, we're going to be working on some basic line functions today. We're going to keep it short and simple, and I'm going to show you how we can create lines, how we can manipulate these lines, how we can use the trim, and also the extend feature. I figure we'll start at the basics with lines, move on to squares, circles, polygons, and then we'll get into multi-shapes. But as stated, today we are going to work on lines. So, to get started, we go to our line icon. We're going to highlight it. Okay? Now, as you can see, once we are in a mode, the cursor will also have a red X attached to it. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're just going to draw 4 lines. Length doesn't matter. We'll get into that later. Okay. After each line we draw, we need to come down to the bottom right hand corner and click on the green check mark. This signifies this operation is complete. Okay. Now we're not going to escape and get out of line mode because we want to draw 3 more. Okay. We'll draw another line here. Said length doesn't really matter at this point. Okay. We will go over and hit our green check. Okay. Come back to our basic shape. We'll put a line out here. Green check. And let's toss one, we'll say here, we'll make it a really short one. I'm over and hit our green check. Okay. Now, what you can see is we just have 4 lines in various locations. And what we are going to do is I'm going to teach you guys how to turn this into a square or a rectangle. As you can see, our line icon is still highlighted, so we are going to hit the escape key, and as you can see, that takes us out of that current function. Okay. First order of business. Let's take a look at this line here. We'll highlight it. When we go over it highlights in green. When we actually click on it, it shows up in red. Okay? If we move over to the right of our screen, we notice we have a parameters box. It shows us where the line starts in both the X and Y coordinates, where it will end in the X and Y coordinates, and the length. We see that we have a length of 7 inches. Okay? Now we're going to go ahead and manipulate this line, and we are going to change the length to 10 inches. You just type in 10, hit enter. Okay. Now you can see this line has actually extended, and it is now 10 inches. As with any function, we go down and hit our green check. Okay. And we are ready for the next command. Now to move on, just click anywhere on the screen, and this particular line that we had highlighted is no longer highlighted. It means that our functionality as far as that line's concerned is done. Okay, so now we have these with these extensions here back in this corner. Okay, and as I said, our plan was to turn these lines into a square. So what we're going to do is use the trim feature. If we go up to our list of icons, starting from the left from File, and we move over, you see we have these two options here, Extend, and we have Trim. Let's go ahead and click on Trim. Okay, we go to the areas where we want to trim, and if you notice, when we highlight a line that needs to be trimmed, it will show up as a red dotted line. Click that, and it makes the two lines perpendicular. Okay, now let's go ahead over here, and we will trim the end of this line as well. Okay, so now we have a perfect right angle here. Okay, as stated, almost forgot, hit our green check mark so that we signify that operation is complete. Okay, let's go ahead and click on the parameter of this line. All right, and we go to parameters. We see that this line is only 6 inches long, and we want to make a 10-inch square. So let's click on the length section, change this to 10. Okay, you use the roller on your mouse to pan out or pan in. Okay, so now we can see we have this line is now 10 inches long. Okay, so let's just double check this. Okay, this line, check our parameters. Somehow we ended up with, must have actually hit 9. Okay. We're going to change this to 10 inches. Okay. Alright, perfect. Okay. So we have a 10-inch line here. Let's check the dimensions of this line. Okay. This line is 10 inches. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and make these lines perpendicular. So what we're going to do now is experiment with the move function. Click on this line, left click. We right click to bring up a list of options. We have everything from pan to zoom, offset, scale. We can copy it. In our particular case, we want to move. So we're going to click move. Okay. Now we're going to select the point to which we move. I like to use the ends of the lines. Okay. I'm going to zoom in on this just a little. Now once you get to the very end of a line, it will be highlighted in green. That way you know you are at the very end of that line. So let's left click on that, hold the mouse button down, and we're going to move it to the end of this line. And go down and hit our green check mark. Complete that action. Okay, let's see what we have here. We pan back in. So, we have a 10-inch horizontal line at the top. We have a 10-inch vertical line to the right. Okay, length 10 inches. Okay. All right. Now what we need to do is move these other lines around so we can complete our square. So first order of business is we are going to click on the left vertical line. We're going to right click. Click move. Okay. Let's pan in so we can get a better view. We got our green dot. Click, hold that down. We'll move it to the end of this line. Bam. Move down, hit our green check mark, action's complete. Okay. My apologies for the blurs in the light. It's just a matter of getting the camera to focus. Okay, so we know top horizontal is 10, right vertical is 10. We need to make this guy 10. So, click on this line. We're gonna roll over to our parameters, where we have our length. Okay, we're going to highlight that and change it to 10 inches. Now what should have happened is it should have carried that line down to make it 10 inches. And it just so happens that it looks like that's what we got. The blurriness of this is just unbelievable at times. Okay. Alright. So, we have a 10-inch left vertical, 10-inch top horizontal, 10-inch right vertical. Okay. Now what do we do with this little guy here? I think we'll move him. Click. Right click. We're going to go to move. Zoom in a bit. We got our green dot. We will left click and hold it down. And we're going to move it to the end of our left vertical line at the bottom. Okay. Go hit our green check mark to signify the action's complete. Okay. Now let's just, for kicks, let's see what the measurement is on this line. Okay. It's only 2 inches. Everything else we have is 10. There's two ways we could go about this. We could actually, right here, right now, in the parameters box, we could change the length to 10 inches. But as promised, I wanted to show you guys the extend feature. we've already been through the trim feature, so let's experiment with this extend feature. We go back to our top row of icons, and we find extend. Left click to highlight extend. Okay. Now let's go back to our lonely tiny little line. You'll notice that we have a stretch of dotted blue lines that connects us to our right vertical line, which happens to be 10 inches in length. Okay, we click this line, bam. Now let's complete our action by clicking the green square. Okay. Alright. Now, just to verify, we are going to click this bottom line, and I want to see if it's 10 inches. So we go over to our parameters box, and it's 10 inches. So through parameters manipulation, through trimming, and through extension, we have moved 4 random lines into actually creating a 10 by 10 square. We have a solid gray shape, which means there's no open geometry, which would mean this part would be ready to cut. Now, because we have a bit of our shape below the 0 point of the y-axis, I'm going to show you guys how to move this entire shape. Starting in the upper left hand corner, you're going to hold down the left mouse button, hold it down. We're going to highlight the entire shape. You'll notice now we have reference points all over, and as time goes on, we'll get into the different things we can do with these points. But for now, we are going to right click. We're going to look at our list of options, and we are going to move. Okay. Now we have to pick our origin spot to move. So what I'm going to do is pick the lower left hand corner. Hold your mouse down. And I'm going to move it to 0.25, 0.25. Okay, now, if we were to turn this into a G-code program and actually cut this, this is exactly where we would want this shape to be. Go over and hit our green check mark to signify the action is complete. Click anywhere. And as you can see, we have accomplished a great deal. We took 4 random lines, and once again, through parameters manipulation, through the extension feature, through the trim feature, and also through the move feature, we turned those 4 random lines into a perfect 10 by 10 box. I'm going to leave the lesson at here today, and I believe tomorrow we will get into squares, rectangles, and manipulation of both. And throughout the week, we will take different shapes, and eventually we will start combining these shapes, checking out the functions in CAM to see how said shapes would be cut out. We might even change the cut order, and we will begin to transform these shapes into G-code. But as I said, I think it's important to start with the basics, and it doesn't get any more basic than a line. So for our project today, we are going to go to our top hand corner. We're going to go File. We're going to save it as. Okay, we are going to call it Line Work. and we'll put today's date, 04/8/020, and we will save it. Okay, now I have this drawing forever. Okay, as I said, we did some basic work with lines today. Just a review, we took 4 random lines, and through parameters manipulation, we changed the length. We used the extension feature to change length. We moved lines to locations more suited to our needs. And we moved the whole shape at the end to put it in position to where we would want to set it up in relation to our material for a cut. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson, and tomorrow we will get into some more advanced shapes. Thank you for watching.